Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu salam, rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Tariq Khalid. I'd like to welcome to our program here at Sharjah Media Corporation, Doing Good. And in today's program, we're trying to equate doing good deeds and actions related to what is happening today and what people did historically, and the result of what happened in many instances for the people who disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who refused to accept or believe what was brought by the prophets of Allah. And it is not different today. We have people following thousands of so-called belief systems. Some people saying all the paths lead to God. And we question this and says, okay, where did you get that from? Did God say that? Or this is a man-made thing? Who said this? And where's the proof of this? We need to understand these things. We need clarity. Everyone needs clarity in their relationship with Allah, with God, the one and only God. Who is He? What is He? What it is that we're supposed to do in relationship to Him. We need to have clarity. We need to understand this. And Allah wants it to be clear. He wants us to understand. He wants us to implement in Allah. He doesn't want us to be confused. So if you look at people who are confusing you, you need to ask yourself, why are you confused? What is it that is happening that is confusing you? And who is doing this? Who is manipulating this confusion? And I've met many young people from all over the world, and one of the first things that they say, brother, I'm confused. I was raised like so-and-so, like so-and-so. I was from this society, such and such like this, but I'm confused. So, of course, our objective is to inform the general public and offer clarity about our belief systems, clarity in relationship to what it is that we need to do in this world to be good, clarity about what is good and what is evil, what is bad. Many people today, they don't know. If you sit and talk to them, they really don't know. This is what in our society we do ABC. This is normal for us. So when you tell me this is not a good thing, what you're talking about, this is common practice for us. Nobody looks at this as being a bad thing. It's a common practice. So it's incumbent upon us to try to explain that what we're talking about is for every single human being. It has nothing to do with your culture or your family or your political connections or how much money you have or how influential you are. No, none of these things. It is your relationship with your Lord, what it is that He requires from us, understanding it and implement it in your life wherever it is that you might be and whatever time we might be in. We're in 2017 now, whether it's 2020, 2050, whatever it might be. The implementation, orientation of what we're talking about, there may be some differences based on the time period that we're in. But in terms of what Allah is requiring from us, it's the same. And we need to understand that. And it has been the same for more than 1,400 years. Man has changed, but Allah's requirements have not changed. And Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, read the honor report, the Prophet ﷺ said, who amongst you sees an evil, he must change it with his hand. If he is unable to do that, then with his tongue. And if he is unable to do so, then with his heart. And that is the weakest form of faith, and it's collected by a Muslim. So when we're talking about evil, we need to understand, first of all, what is evil and what is good. We need to have clarity on what is good. What is it that in our society is good for our society? What is wholesome for our society? Which helps our society develop and progress internally, culturally, sociologically, financially, academically, as far as business is concerned. All of these things Islamically are interrelated. They're not separate entities because our Islam is comprehensive. It involves every aspect of our life and how we live that life and how we implement each aspect of our life with this in mind, how they interrelate. How is this pie? How does this pie work? Is it like this or is it like this? Is it complementary or is it in conflict? So we're saying Islam is complementary, and each thing that we do in our life has its place. And it's all part of the overall pie, for lack of a better description. So every aspect of my life affects or impacts every other aspect. If I don't pray, then it has impact on what is happening with me sociologically. If I do not act proper sociologically, then it has an impact on what I am doing in the workplace. If I don't do what is correct in the workplace, then it has an impact on my worship. So it is interrelated, it's not a separate entity. So as a Muslim, it is important for me to understand and have value for each aspect of my life and to try to practice it in the proper manner so that in each thing that I do, I will have the help of Allah. And ultimately, this is what I'm seeking, isn't it? That in every action, I'm seeking to obey Allah in the proper manner so that I will have the help of Allah in every aspect of my life. And of course, this is challenging for us. It's challenging, but that challenge is a beautiful challenge because on the other end of the spectrum, we realize that our time is limited on this earth. It is limited. We're going to leave this world. So how am I using my time today? And I ask you this question. Everyone is out there right now, and I suggest that you do. Take a piece of paper for your own sake. You may or not be a person who follows a timeline. And just say, okay, my day starts, let's say sunrise, whatever time that is where you live. Let's say 6 o'clock in the morning, for example. Okay, when I wake up, what do? What is my routine? Okay. I eat breakfast, do whatever I do. For a Muslim, first thing you should pray, an example. So you have to question yourself. As a non-Muslim, and it's very interesting, when you get up in the morning, do you pray? The Muslim gets up, first thing he should do in the morning is pray before sunrise. Okay, so, or you see, he should pray his first prayer in the morning, and the next prayer at noontime, and so forth and so on. So he's 5 times a day, and I want a person who's a non-Muslim to make a comparative analysis for your own good. And I'm not saying a Muslim is better than you. No, I'm not insinuating at all. I'm saying make a comparative analysis of your lifestyle, and what we're saying is the lifestyle that we should be following. You get up in the morning, your first thing is you pray, and then you follow suit and whatever it is that you have to do during the day. And then again, sometime during the day, you pray, and you continue like this. So how many times as a non-Muslim do you pray in a day? How important to you is prayer? How important to you is your relationship with Allah? How important is it that you self-reflection, correction of yourself, which many of us don't want to do. We don't want to face that. We don't want to face the challenge. We don't want to write down, these are positive things, these are negative things about me. How do I change these negative things into what is positive? Many of us are afraid to do this. We do not want to face up to who we are and what's going on. And some people, when they look in the mirror, they don't like who they are, both in the exterior and interior. So I'm suggesting take this piece of paper and write down what it is that you're doing today until you go to bed at night. And just look at it. And look and see, how much of the day have I designated to my Creator, to Allah? If you're a Christian or a Jew, says, look, you're a person who's supposed to be praying, supposed to be obeying the commandments of Allah. Look and see, how much are you obeying the commandments of Allah? If you're not a Christian or a Jew or not a Muslim who has this faith or belief, I still ask you this question. Where's your relationship with your Lord? How do you think you have a relationship with your Lord after death if you do not have one now? What methodology are you following to justify whatever it is that you're doing in your life today? Does that hold water? if we go by what Allah says in the Quran, some of the verses which we read already, your life right now, how does it relate to this? Can you just negate that? Well, brother, that's the Quran. That's your business. You're a Muslim. I don't follow the Quran. I have my own verses. So I said, okay, fine. That's okay. But what I said, how much of it do you believe? How much of it do you think is real in your life? So if you think that is real, then why is it that you don't accept it and adopt it? Why is it that you don't at least contemplate upon it and see how it's going to impact your life? Look, we study in colleges and universities up to PhDs, striving to understand or develop a particular discipline and to get deeper into that discipline in understanding of it and its applications. I'll ask you the question, how much time and energy you spend in developing your relationship with your Lord in a similar manner to understand who He is, what it is that He wants. From an academic and intellectual point of view, what do I mean? Researching, finding out how important this relationship is in my life. Or let me ask this to you, on the other side, your education, has it been a barrier for you, meaning that you will not move forward to develop yourself spiritually, intellectually, and sociologically, the relationship with your Lord? Has it become something that is blocking your path? And many people may not want to accept that, but it's a fact that they have been crippled by their so-called education in one way or another. And their minds, instead of being expanded, have been closed. So we're saying to you, open your mind, meaning open your heart. Seek the guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a saying, right? Seek and you shall find. Pursue for the sake of your own salvation. Not because Tariq Khalid suggested it to you, I'm nobody, of no significance, but for the sake of your own salvation. Think about what we're saying. That this world is temporary, that everyone will leave this life, that everyone will be resurrected. Every single person has ever been created. Every single person will have to answer to Allah about his life, his wealth. How did he obtain it? His youth. What did he do with it? How did he use it? Knowledge. How did you use the knowledge? How did you act upon the knowledge that you had? Did you have knowledge and act like a superior person, or an inferior, uneducated, illiterate person? The knowledge base that you have, did you expand it? Did you pursue the same depth of study that you would pursue to present a thesis for a PhD? Have you done the same in your pursuit of knowing who is your Lord and how to obey Him? Ask yourself this question. Where do you stand? As I mentioned before, I meet many people from many different disciplines, and I ask them these kinds of questions. I said, well, nobody's ever said this to me before. I said, well, okay, this is the first time for everything. I just want you to think about this. Where do you stand in relationship to the things that we've mentioned? What is your present status? Are you just a person living to die? I mean, I'm just standing here living every day, doing whatever I do, expecting that, of course, that I'm going to die. And that's it, with no knowledge of what's going to happen to you after death, or no perception of what it is that you can possibly do that will benefit you, so that you yourself are locked into this time and space, believing that it's here now or never, and that's it. In one sense, that is true, but whatever it is that you're doing good here will impact you in the grave. Whatever you're doing that is bad here will impact you in the grave also. And that bad, to neutralize that, you have to ask forgiveness from Allah. So you have to recognize who is your Lord and implement the system that He has created for us to seek His forgiveness. And implement the system He has created for us to seek His mercy. It's not complicated, but we have to have belief. And we have to pursue our life based on this belief system. And we have to believe ultimately that our success is in obeying the commandments of Allah and following the way of Muhammad bin Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Exclusively for everyone, Christians, Jews, no matter where you come from in the globe, no matter what language that you speak, that this invitation is the invitation for all of men and jinn until the day of judgment, and that Allah opens our hearts for the understanding and implementation of this way of life for the sake of our own individual salvation. Think about it. Where do you stand presently? What is your present condition? How can you improve it? Some people say, listen, man, my life is swell, brother. Life is great. Life is good. I'm enjoying it to the max. So what do you want me to do? Would you want me to say my life is bad? It's good. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that you shouldn't be distracted by the things of the world, that all of these things are temporary. If you don't believe it, then very simply, talk to anyone who has suffered because of a so-called natural catastrophe, who their life as they knew it went to zero. It's like that. Ask them, what is it that they feel? What is it they think? Did they ever think they would be in that condition? And now they're in condition. What are they doing about it? So we need to understand our conditions can change at any time. So what we're doing today is essential for us to understand this. What we implement in our life today is important and directly equated and related to what is going to happen with us tomorrow. So think about this and pray on it and pursue the proper knowledge for the sake of your own salvation. My name is Tariq Khalid. I'd like to thank you for joining us here at Sharjah Media Corporation on Doing Good, and continue by all means to do as many good deeds as you possibly can on a daily basis. We want our society to be the most positive society, the most pure society, the most pleasing society to Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.